Hello and welcome to Jennifer Knatters, my knitting and nattering video podcast. I'm Jennifer and welcome to my conservatory. It has been raining off and on most of the evening, and when it is raining it has absolutely been pouring it down. Sorry, I forgot how to speak there. It has absolutely been pouring it down, so if it starts raining again I will probably have to pause this. Sitting in the conservatory, it's a very thin roof and it is very, very loud when it's raining particularly hard. It sounds lovely when it's raining gently, but when it's drumming on the roof, it might as well be tin. This is episode 31. 31, that's a big number. I feel like I should have done more to celebrate episode 30. But episode 31. And this week is going to be a lesson in working a little bit on a lot of projects and not particularly making any progress. So let's get right to it. First up, I have the Anemochory socks that I was working on last time, and I'm going to apologize for a second here. I have the lights on. You can probably see from my shiny forehead, and sorry, my eye's just itching a bit. My shiny forehead and the fact that all the shadows are from above and it's bouncing off the window back there. These socks are pink. They are not as pink as they're going to appear when I hold them up in front of the camera. They are very pink. They're not quite so shockingly pink, so this may be too much to look at. Oh my goodness, look at that. Hey, look, from the front you can actually... These socks look really weird from the side. I say socks, this is one. Last time we spoke, I had just started working on the heel flap. I guess I was about halfway down the heel flap. And I have turned the heel, and I said that I was working on these, but I was going to cast on another pair of socks to be my walking around project, because these were going to get complicated going across the foot. It turns out, not that much. It is a different way of doing the decreases. We're on the top, bringing this swirl in. Let's see if we can get the stitch a little bit. These have not been blocked and they look a bit weird because this is kind of a ribbed lace, so it pulls it in versus just the stockinette. But I have finished the first sock. Yeah, they just look really weird. I don't think I've even particularly tried these on. Since these weren't my walking around socks anymore, I made a push over the weekend to finish these, and I wound up these two fingers from holding the knitting needle, wound up hurting quite a lot by that evening, so that was not a good thing I did. And I've also had off and on pains in my wrist. My body is basically saying, do not make a huge push to knit half a grown-up sock in one day, especially when if it's just round and round like my Heart Guile socks were. That's a lot easier than doing a ribbed lace pattern. So I finished that one, and I have even gone so far as to cast on second one, again, shockingly pink. And these have not had a lot of love. I did try, you can see the top is flared out a little bit, and that's because these fit well, but my cast on edge is just a little snug. So in these, I made a real point of doing a very loose cast on. So, otherwise they fit really nicely. Catherine, my youngest. Ow! Ow! Well, that was both embarrassing and painful. I am so sorry for that. When I put my hand down, it landed on the knitting needle and drove it into the tip, into my leg. I knit my socks on 2.0 needles. I'm a bit of a loose needle, or a loose knitter. So I pretty much always go down at least half a millimeter on needle size. And these are my Chiaogu, is that how you say that? And I don't think, these aren't even like the sharp tips. I don't think it was that one. I'm pretty sure because that's a little sharper than the other one. And I worry a lot about doing that to my children. When they're playing near my knitting, I'm always just like, no, you're going to get stabbed. Especially if I'm knitting and like they jump in my lap. Apparently I got stabbed. I went and I got a plaster and I put it on my leg. I don't even know how far it went into my leg. That really hurt. Yes, I say plaster. In my introduction, I am an American living in Inverness, Scotland. So I have kind of a blended accent, I guess, or at least an American accent. Americans tend to hear the ways in which I now sound British, and Brits tend to hear the ways I still sound very, very, very American. So yeah, whichever one you are, I will sound the other. My other project, which is the socks I cast on for my 6-year-old, who currently wants to be called Tulip, although she was saying maybe she'd like to be called Cactus. And I keep calling her Tulip until she's a bit firmer on that one. These are just wee little socks, and I have not made very good progress on them. Last time I showed you, I had just done the toe. And these are, did I tell you, the Anemochory socks are by Hunter Hammersen. This is going to be the worst podcast ever, or at least, my worst podcast ever. The Anemochory socks are by Hunter Hammersen, and this is Abstract Cat sock yarn. It's a 75-25 wool nylon blend. The colorway is Bonny. And I knit on 2.0 for socks. These are the Phalanges by Clare Devine from her Sock Anatomy book, which is an excellent book if you have any interest in knitting socks. I highly recommend it, whether you are an old hat or a new hand. That's a terrible metaphor. And these, I think, they're either the largest of the children's sizes or the smallest of the adult sizes. And they look really, really long. Tulip is lanky. She's not even that tall, but for her height, she is a little runner bean, including her feet. Do you know how hard it is to buy sale shoes for someone with really narrow feet? It's pretty difficult. But these look really long and narrow to me. I have my wee little wool ball here. This is Opal in one of their solid colors, which is a lilac. I knit and turned the heel. It's just a short row heel. And had her tried them on, and then wound up ripping back a bunch, and I've only knit to turning the heel. I made it a little longer and then turned the heel again. The fit would have been fine if she was an adult. It was ever so slightly snug on the length. She is a 6-year-old child. Her feet are going to grow. I want them to last longer than like 3 months. So I had turned the heel halfway through this lace, and I just went up. And I just added like a finger width. So just to give them a little bit longer so she won't be sliding around in them. These are made as lacy ones. I probably won't make the cuff too long because these are intended to be summer socks for her school uniform to go with the school color is purple, and then they can wear a summer dress, which is a lilac gingham dress. So it's kind of this color lilac. If you can hear that, that's my cat going through the cat flap in the kitchen. So it's just a lacy one, short cuffs, socks that she can wear with her lilac summer dress. My 2-year-old wants to steal them. She keeps saying that they're for her, and I'm like, I just finished a pair of red ribbed socks for you. She's like, purple? Purple me. So I will probably wind up knitting a purple pair. I've also got darker purple that I think I'll make for Kitten regular term time socks. They're pretty lax about what, I mean, she could probably wear any color socks, honestly, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye. There is now an airplane going overhead. We are under a flight path, if you hear that. I don't know if you can. Yeah, so not a whole heck of a lot of progress on those. I was working on them when we were out and about, and for the first couple of days when I was working on these socks, and then when I switched to the Phalanges, my 2-year-old was very self-entertaining. I brought a lot of snacks for her while Tulip was doing her trampolining class, and Catherine just kind of twirled and ate food and played with her toy and was very happy. And then the last 2 days, last week and most of this week, she has been jumping up on me and climbing all over me, and I'm worried I'm going to stab her with my knitting needles. These ones, I believe, are Addie lace. A lot less sharp, but they would still hurt if you landed on them. Probably wouldn't go in, would still hurt. I can't believe I did that, and I can't believe I did it while recording my podcast. I take it out, but then you'd never understand why I'm so like, what the heck did I just do? Yeah, so didn't get a whole heck of a lot of work on those. Over the weekend, when my children were a little more self-entertaining around the house, I worked really hard to finish the Anemochory socks, and then my hands hurt, so I could still knit. I mean, I rested for a bit, and I didn't take any painkillers, because I do believe pain, especially like knitting pain, is your body's way of saying that the thing you're doing is damaging it. And your body goes, no, don't do that. So I don't think like the topical creams with painkillers in them, or taking a lot of painkillers so that you can keep doing the thing that's hurting your body, is a good idea. I am willing to entertain other people's opinions on this, but for myself, I feel quite firmly that if your body is hurting, you need to rest. And that is, of course, different from like your body going, hey, wow, we don't normally move in that way. That's a bit weird, and the kind of thing you can push through. If your hands are hurting after knitting, that is your body's way of saying you need to change something. Rest first, and then work out what you need to change. Don't grip tiny needles and be like, oh, I want to finish these. So my third whip that I worked on a little bit this week, and you can see there's my progress keeper, and I was just shy of this stitch marker, which you can't really even see. I've got my tea bag progress keeper, and then this stitch marker is the last of the bust increases. The yellow needle is the top of the waist decreases. The pink one is the start of the bust increases. And I have just started the armhole shaping. I'm actually almost done. I only have 2 more rows, 2 more right side rows of decrease every round. And then it's like 8 rows before we start the neck, because it's going to be a high necked. I don't know if you can really see that. To like here, so it'll probably have, it's a crew neck right around that same place. So yeah, I worked on this a little. I mean, I've really only worked on it since the weekend, and it's not my walking around project, so it's also not a bring out to the table project very much. So it's my knit on after pumpkins go to bed project. So that is 3 of them. Oh, sorry, dropped the bag on some toys on the floor. My house is such a tip. My house is never, like, we're not huge people on tidying up every 5 minutes or even every day. but having my 2 pumpkins home, and it's been raining a lot this week, so we haven't even been playing in the garden. They have, I mean, like every day they take all the sofa cushions off the sofa. We've got 2 sofas in our lounge. Lots of cushions everywhere. And then some of them wound up in the kitchen. I don't know. Mostly, I am just happy they're playing nicely together. Like that is the one thing I'm cracking down on is if they're fighting over things, I'm taking them away. I have a zero tolerance policy for fighting amongst themselves. They really need to just, I mean, one of them's 2 and one of them's 6. So their compromising abilities are very different, but they have to work it out. And I have a new cast on this week. Sorry, moving right back to knitting. A new cast on this week, which is, this is a new month. It is a new Boost Your Knitting project. And again, this is the Arnold Culliford, Collingford? No, I can't remember. The AC Knitwear is their website, acknitwear.com. Jen and Jim AC, haha, see, it cut straight to the point there. It's a year of new techniques. Every month there's a new pattern, a new project, a new technique. This month's technique is selecting colors for colourwork. So the video for this one, I am not a video learner usually. I mean, I've done the odd craftsy class, but when it comes to choice, like watch a YouTube video or read a blog post with pictures, I take the blog post with pictures 9 times out of 10, probably 95 times out of 100. I would prefer to look at a couple of pictures, maybe a diagram, than try and watch a video to learn from. This video is wonderful. The project this month is the Skystone Armwarmers by Felicity Felix Ford, also known as Knit Sonic, and she is known for her books and her projects and the classes she teaches that are about finding color inspiration in the world around you and translating that into a knitting project. So the video for this month is Jen and Felix sitting down and having a conversation. They've got lots of little balls of Jamieson and Smith Shetland 2-ply jumperweight. They've got some inspiration pictures. They've got this month's pattern came with, oh, I'm sorry, I just moved the camera a little bit. Came with some coloring in charts. So this is kind of the abstract version of the chart. And then this one, I'll show you the whole chart, is the knitting pattern. And I've colored, didn't really know where to put, there's no horizontal lines. I know you can kind of decide to put your color anywhere, but there's no horizontal cut lines. So I didn't really know where to color this one in. But I did. This is not my first of the pattern chart, and I colored it in with my colors. And this is my knitting. Again, I knit at about this far with slightly different colors. The yellow, the purple, and this background green were different colors. And I didn't really like the yellow, the purple, and the background green. So I did a picture. I took 2 pictures so that I could make one black and white and refer back and forth. Like I'd have both pictures at the same time rather than just keep switching the one picture between black and white and color. And the purple I had before, the green was darker, but the purple I had before was pretty much the exact same as this dark teal and the petrol, the bluey and the greeny blue, a slightly more blue-green, and a slightly more green blue-green. And now I've got a true green in the middle. And so my acquisition for this month is I actually wound up ordering 9 or 10 colors from the Arnold Culliford yarn shop. And I got a whole bunch of the bright ones because all my colors tend to be around this range. So I got a bright pink and a bright purple and like the really Crayola bright colors. This bright green, and I got the muted gold and this kind of mid-value purple. This mid purple also it's one of the mix shades, so it's got a lot of flecks of green in it, and it's an absolutely gorgeous color. It's a little too gray to be something I would want the entire project, like to be a main color in a project, but certainly like for blending, I am absolutely in love with this color. And I kind of like the inspiration picture I took, rather than having a picture you like and then trying to fit it into your knitting, I went, what colors do I want to use? Okay, now I need to make a photo composition that has them all in it. So I cheated, I did it. Well, I don't know that it's cheating. It's definitely a different way of looking at things. And I took a picture of a posy of flowers that I had bought at the floral hall in the Inverness Botanical Gardens earlier that day, which had a lot of really vibrant pinks and purples and a little bit of the yellow. And then in the background of my picture were the hydrangeas in the garden, just right over there, although they're looking really sad now with the rain, like the flowers are all basically spread around the ground and the top is just the green canopy instead of the flowers everywhere like it was. But it was the blue flowers in the background, and then of course lots of green from the different foliages. So this is a more spring subdued version of those bright summer flower colors, because that's what I have in my stash, except now I have more really bright colors. So my next project with colourwork could be insanely bright all over and then do a more muted background. Anyway, this purple is still a little darker than the blue, and you can't really see it. There is 2 rows of this lighter kind of seafoamy green. So the purple is a little darker, but it's a little lighter than my background colors. And this muted gold looks really good, and I really love this green too. A couple of people, including Ms. Ford, said that they don't like, it's the shade of green, number 47. Haha, shade 47, because it reminds them of their school uniforms. As a person who never wore a school uniform and whose child does not currently wear a green school uniform, doesn't bother me. I would call this like a Kelly green. I love it. For a while that was in fact my favorite color. I had a green trench coat, that color, in high school. Ah yes, I was never gonna be cool. So yeah, I just got the 9 shades today, my 3 colors. So I had ripped it back. I think I was somewhere in the pink, and I had to reknit. I was originally going to change my colors around. I was going to make the yellow, this one here at the bottom that just peeks through, and move the pink and the purple together. But then I decided I'd have to color in my chart again. And while that may be, honestly, that may be a better way to do this, like a differently pleasing way to do it. I decided to go with the easy way of just knitting the colors in the order they were currently on there. As it is, my bluer background color and my greener background color are reversed on the coloring thing. And so here is my bag, including my cone. And where are my colors? There are my colors. Isn't that a pleasing springy palette of colors? I'm happy looking at it. And then I also took the liberty of ordering the Year of Techniques keychain, that's what it is, which does 3, 3.25, 3.5, 3.75, and 4 millimeter. which is like the most used needle sizes. It's probably fairly common that those are the most used needle sizes. They ordered it for EYF, Edinburgh Yarn Festival, 2 years ago as a freebie if you showed up wearing any of the projects from the first year of techniques. But I did not go, so I was not able to get one. But I thought, I've been eyeing them since, and I thought, this is the day I will order it. I had a 10% discount for their shop. That's good for, this is the last month because the book comes out next month, and I guess the code doesn't work anymore after that. Yeah, speaking of yarn festivals, so that's my acquisitions. I already put the other ones away in my stash because my children are very interested in little balls of brightly colored yarn. My 2-year-old wants to pull them all apart and get tangled up in them. And my older child wants to make little piles of color combinations, because that's what I do with it. I line up a bunch of pictures and line up a bunch of balls and then take pictures and do the black and white thing to see if it is what I want it to look like. So she wants to make piles of yarn and then have me take pictures and then show them to her. And I'm kind of just like, but that's not getting me closer to knitting. Also, your sister's going to steal them and pull all the yarn out. So anyway, when I got them, I dumped them all out on my bed, took a quick picture, switched some colors around from my knitting bag, settled on my new color scheme, and then quickly shoved them all back in. I've got a oversized Ziploc baggie. I know that plastic isn't ideal because yarn has humidity and it can change, and anyway, it's what works for me. Particularly, like some things, my more expensive yarns I tend to have in cotton bags. The moths that eat wool do not eat cotton. So if you have even just like 100% cotton pillowcase and you put it in and you, like as long as there's no way for them to crawl through the opening of the bag, add a zipper or something, moths do not, their larvae will not go through the cotton bag. I'm sorry, it is already past 10 o'clock. It is almost 10:20 and I am clearly absolutely shattered. And I stabbed myself in the leg with a knitting needle, which I think would throw off anyone's evening, frankly. That's pretty much the knitting content. Gardening wise, I didn't really, it's been raining and it's been muggy and rainy, and we've had thunderstorms. Turns out my 6-year-old, who used to adore thunderstorms as the most exciting thing ever and want to watch with her nose pressed to the window so she could see if there was any lightning, is now scared of thunderstorms. So we had it was never close. Like, we only saw a couple flicks of lightning, and then it was the kind where the whole sky lit up rather than being able to see the actual lightning. But it just went on and on and on, and then you wouldn't hear any for a while, and then there'd be another odd rumble of thunder. So she convinced my 2-year-old that they had to go make little caves to hide in. It was possibly the most peaceful afternoon I've had all summer holiday. So not a lot done in the gardening. And my crow, I've been feeding a crow, and it is now coming around. It was the crow and then another crow who I figured was its mate, and that they had a baby somewhere in the nest. The baby is now coming around, and the baby is really, really skittish and very noisy. I mean, picture a baby bird going, "Feed me, feed me, feed me," in a crow voice. and you have the baby crow. But the crow parents just show up, and my crow, I don't know which one's the mama, which one's the dad, but my crow will like just sit on the railing outside, like the front door, there's the railing going down, or even on the windowsill, and it tends not to crow or caw or anything. It just kind of sits there and hopes you'll notice. Looking in the window like, hello, is anyone home? So, yep, they're now bringing their baby around. So I've been sneaking sausages out of the fridge, the little cocktail wieners that my husband bought for our children. I've been feeding them to the crows. Normally I would just, like the leftover cat food that our cats don't eat, the wet food, I scrape all of it into one bowl, and then the next time they come, I fling it out for them. Or like if we don't eat our ham in time, we're like, not sure that's good for a sandwich, then I will throw that outside for them. They're carrion eaters. Ham that would make me sick is not going to make them sick. And what else? My gladioli bloomed. That's the thing in my garden. My gladioli bloomed. I planted them whenever I planted them. I think it was in the spring. And they sent up leaves like in May. It is now August. They have finally bloomed. That took ages. I didn't think they were ever going to bloom. They haven't all bloomed. I think I planted, it was probably a bag of 12, and 4 of them have flowers. I have 1 pink one, 2 yellow ones, and a red one. It was a mixed bag. So I will definitely plant more next year, because they finally came up and they're really pretty. I'll put more in the places where they've actually flowered, although the other ones might just need a little more time. That's fine. They can have more time. Yeah, so that's the garden stuff. There's really nothing to say in the garden stuff except, my rose that I bought, my orange rose, that's just over there, is doing really well. It has been very happy, and I hacked back the rose bush that's all up. You can't see it, but it's kind of where the camera is, over there, all up the side of the house. It was just huge and overtaking the whole thing, and I needed to hack it back, but I was going to wait until after the blooms faded. They have finally faded. I have hacked it all back, and it still looks like a very full, very happy, it's actually 2 rose bushes going up the wall. So yeah, that is, in a week, everything I've done in the garden. It is really not anything to write home about. But I think we only spent 1 afternoon in the garden, so as far as that goes, it's probably a fair amount of work. Family-wise, Tulip did trampolining last week, and she liked it so much that she asked to do it again. So I signed her up for trampolining this week. She'd like to do it in the school year, but I went online to sign her up for it, and the stuff at the leisure center is not on the online booking center, the main leisure center, so I would have to do it in person. And even though we're there every day doing trampolining, I kind of think I will just let it slide, at least for the first 6-week booking block. She'll be doing Girl Brigades again, which doesn't start, it starts the 2nd week, I believe, and it starts in September. And then we got an email saying that they had a place for her in Girl Guides, which is like Girl Scouts in the US, in the Rainbows, which is for 5-year-olds to 7-year-olds. She is 6.5. So she can do it. They've got a place for her, and she can do it summer term, which is this term when school starts back. She can do it autumn term, which is after the October half term. And she can do it in the winter term, which is January after Christmas to Easter. And then after Easter, she's out of the troop because she turns 7 in January, so she can finish that term. And then after Easter, she's out. So I got this email and I'm like, yes, she would very much like to do this. And since then I've been like, how do I sign her up for the next level? Is it going to be another 2-year wait list? Well, I didn't have her on the wait list for the whole 2 years. I guess I could have signed her up when she was in nursery, and I didn't sign her up until she started primary 1. I never know which things are done by age and which things are done by grade, by academic year. I'm quite frankly astounded that they do it. You move up by age and not by term. I mean, like, not by, I would think it would be the whole school year that she'd be in until they break for the summer again, but that is not how they do things here apparently, or at least not in the Girl Guides. So anyway, she will get like 6 months of being a rainbow, and then she will get to move up, and I can only hope there's actually a place for her to move up. I know they started a new troop, basically. There was a new rainbow troop because so many kids were on this wait list. And I know, excuse me, I'm getting a bit of a tickle in my throat. Let me just pause this for real quick. Sorry about that. Had a wee bit of a cough and now my face is all red. Anyway, Tulip is friends with the daughter of one of the mums who is this new troop, one of the new troop's leaders. I guess there's 3 women who will be doing it. And I happen to know that her friend's birthday is, I think, early February. So the leader's child is in the same position that Tulip is in. So once school starts up, I will ask her. Although mostly I'm waiting until it actually starts so I can be like, hi, I have questions. Because I know it is a new troop and they are all new volunteers. I don't think any of them, her friend's mom also has an older girl who I presume is already in it, so she has some vague idea what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. I did Girl Scouts, which is a different organization in a different country, so I don't feel the most qualified. My mother was our troop leader. She very clearly felt that if you needed a troop, you needed a leader. She was the troop leader in Daisies, which is kindergarten. So yeah, she's finally in Girl Scouts. She'll be out of Girl Scouts before the end of the school year. Possibly, I don't know. I have no idea what there is in the way of older troops, or if the mums are gonna, like, if there's 3 mums because 2 of them are planning on moving up with the kids. I don't know. I have questions. I don't have anyone to ask yet. Or at least know when it's appropriate, I feel, to be asking right now. Oh, I talked about that way too long. We went ice skating, Tulip, Catherine, and I. And there was only I don't think there were even 10 other people at the rink the afternoon we went Saturday afternoon. No, we went Sunday afternoon. And sorry, I can hear my husband walking around. Sorry about that. My husband came out to say goodnight with a side of, are you talking to someone? And I said, yes, I'm recording my podcast, talking to myself, but you know how it is. So he says, oh, okay. That's the short version, but yeah. My husband does not watch my podcast. I told him about stabbing myself in the leg, and he would like me not to stab myself in the leg in the future. My husband does not watch my podcast. He hears and sees all about my knitting in person as it's going. I guess he does not feel the need for the weekly recap. Yeah, so family stuff, trampolining, gardening. Now I'm getting confused about what I said to you and what I said to him. Oh, we went ice skating, and the older one, Tulip, said she just got the hang of it when it was time to go and was very upset that I was making her leave, even though it was the end of the session and everybody had to leave. And my 2-year-old, who has been ice skating before, she's 2.5. We went ice skating last summer when she was 1.5, and she was basically like, "Don't touch me, I'm gonna go for it." And this time she's like, "I would like you to carry me." She wanted to stand on the feet of the little penguins you push around and then be pushed like a sled, which one of the people who works there came out and was like, "Don't do that." So yeah. And then she required both hands and wouldn't even stand up. Like, she'd hold both my hands and then lean all the way back. So I was pushing her along, and then I didn't have hands free to hold Tulip's hand, and basically it was not a good trip to go ice skating. We've decided that next time, there's the cat flap again. Next time, Catherine can stay home, and Tulip and I will go, which is what we did the previous time we went. I think we went back in, I can't remember if it was April or May. We went ice skating, the two of us, and had a lot of fun. I mean, I would have more fun if I wasn't holding up small children and could just go for it, but I do want her to get to do things like ice skate. Oh, hello, you can come out. You gonna come say hello? That's my cat, Oliver. I'm gonna talk about you next. He has not forgiven me. We went to the vet today. I left my children home with my husband. I preloaded him with candy so that when both of my children cried and wanted to come with me, and the 2 cats who were also crying, that I could say, "Daddy's got candy. Go get it from him. Come on up." Yay! This is Oliver. If one of his eyes looks funny, he had contrast dye put in his eye, and his neck looks funny as well if you see that, because he had flea and tick stuff put on him. Yay, he's come for a cuddle. He's forgiven me. His eye has been a bit wonky. It's actually basically been a bit wonky. He's pretty much always had goop in the corner of his eye since he went to the vet for his annual checkup a year ago. And they were not, they're like, yeah, sometimes you get goop. But now he had a bit of cloudiness in the corner of his eye, and so the vet looked at it, and she says it should get better. She's Australian, so she kept saying better instead of better, which is how I would pronounce that word. She had a very nice accent. She even called him mate, which I was like, haha, we are ticking off all of the Australian stereotypes, including being a vet is one of the other stereotypes, because all Australians are mad about animals, right? But she said it looked like it was just an abrasion. Something got in his eye. She had to anesthetize his eye and then use a cotton swab. I'm sorry, this is probably going to gross some people out, but to look under his eyelid. And the cats have 3 sets of eyelids, or maybe 1, 2, 3. I don't know. She had to look under the inner eyelids to make sure like there wasn't a grass seed or something still in there. And now he's got eye drops to help him get better. She says it should clear up. He needs the eye drops for either 5 or 10 days. If it clears up at 3 days, 5-day course. If it clears up at 5 days, 10-day course. And if it doesn't clear up in 10 days, he has to go back. And our other cat, Libby, he also got ooh, he's a bit of a big boy, isn't he? Because he is 6 kilos, 6.82 kilos this time. He's normally around 6'2", so he's put on a little extra this time. They'd actually stopped bugging us about his weight because at least he was holding steady. It's gone up again. But our other cat, who is normally around 3'3", she's they're litter mates. They're brother and sister. We've had them the whole time. She is literally half his weight. But she's also, he's that much taller than her and that much longer than her. He's twice her size. He's a very big cat. Anyway, she has lost a little bit of weight. She's just 3 kilo this time. So the vet said to bring her back in 6 months and have her weighed again to make sure it's not part of a pattern. It's not an ongoing. If it's just a fluctuation in her weight, then everybody's weight fluctuates a little bit, nothing to worry about. But if her weight continues to go down, it could be a symptom of something. So my wall calendar does not go 6 months out. So I have a note in December to make an appointment in February when I get my next wall calendar, which I will probably do sooner rather than later. I will move that one to February. Make an appointment for Libby to be weighed. But yeah, Oliver had a very bad day. They do not like going in their cat carrier at the best of times. They do not like going to the cattery where they go when we're on holiday. They do not like going to the vet. They do not like being jabbed. They do not like being put on tables. They do not like being examined by strangers. They do not like anything about it. And Oliver had to get extra stuff to have his eye examined. So he's only just now come back to me for scritches. Like 5 minutes after we came home, the other one was like, you were supposed to be petting me now. But Oliver has been very skittish. More so around me. My husband's even the one who caught him. And then I took him from my husband and put him in the cat box and took them to the vet. So I'm the bad guy. But yeah, I'm very happy my Gingy has come back to me. And yeah, I think that's about it. In potty training, my 2-year-old, she's the one who decided she was ready to potty train months ago, but she's not serious about it. She just likes the idea of sometimes, basically if she's naked from the waist down, if she's not wearing anything on her bottom, then most of the time she remembers to go to the toilet. Sometimes she's just like, oh, I peed. Pee me. I'm like, no, I'm supposed to use the potty. Just like, forgot. But anyway, I've decided that since I'm not otherwise, like I'm not giving them candy at home, except when I go to the vet and I bribe them to go stay with their father rather than insist on having a big crying fit on the pavement, as I won't let them in the taxi with me. Yeah, I'm not giving them candy, but anytime Catherine uses her little toilet, and it has to be a serious contribution, it can't just be like, look, I managed to squeeze something out, which she has tried to do, but anytime she properly uses her toilet, they both get candy. And they both get candy because I am not going to deal with the screams of the older child when the younger child gets candy and she doesn't. And also because I want the older child to be the cheerleader and be like, hey, have you gone toilet recently? We should go toilet. And, sit there and sing to her and all the other things that my 6-year-old will do to encourage the younger one to go toilet. I mean, she'd do most of that naturally, but if she gets candy for doing it, she will definitely, like anytime she wants candy, I'm like, nope, your sister has to use the toilet. Have you asked her recently if she needs to pee? Catherine, come pee. So yeah, that plan, in as much as when we're home and she doesn't have a nappy on, is working all right. If she does have a nappy on, she'll tell me she's used it. She won't tell me before she's used it. So I'm in no particular rush. She doesn't start nursery until after Christmas. And even then, like they'll take her, kids can go to nursery in their nappies. They don't have to be fully potty trained. And my older one potty trained herself at like 3 years, 2 months. We'd had the potties, we'd had books, we talked about it, we let her go with the breeze. and she would say, like, I need a nappy, and then she would use it. Whereas, and then one day she just brought me a pair of her big girl pants, and I helped her put them on, and then she went over and she took them off again and did her business, and that was basically it. I think she's only had like 2 accidents, and yeah, that was basically, she was done. So yeah, potty training is so much fun, especially since we're doing it a very slow way. I know there are faster ways. I just don't really care that much. And she'll figure it out, especially because she has a big sister. When you have an older sibling, you figure this stuff out real easily. It's just a matter of making her want to care. There was a week when she didn't wear a nappy all week. Even when we went out, she insisted on big girl pants. And so I periodically, do you need to? And she used toilets when we were out and about and didn't have any accidents. And since then, she hasn't been that bothered. She does not want to do that. So yeah, I'm really tired and I'm just not wrapping this up. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to give Oliver a few more scritches and I'm going to go to bed. It is 11:15 and I am absolutely shattered. Yeah. Did I say I bought tickets to go to Perth? I remember I got as far as, speaking of EYF, I bought train tickets to go to Perth. Yay! Oh, that's right, because that was right when I started coughing. Train tickets to go to Perth for the Perth Festival of Yarn. So if you see me there, please say hello. I have mild face blindness. I will not recognize you if we've already spoken. I'm sorry. I'm a bad person. Yeah. See, now I'm super tired. I'm too tired to do this. But yeah, I have convinced, it didn't take a lot of convincing. I asked a couple of local friends who knit if they were going to go, and one of them said yes, and one of them said maybe. So the yes and I booked train tickets, and the maybe we'll decide later. And I have my train buddies. It's a 2 hour, I can't remember. It's at least a 2 hour train ride. So I've got my train buddies for there and back, and we'll spend, I probably won't get there till 11. Our train gets in at like 11, and then you figure it's a 5-minute walk from the train station to the leisure center where it's being held. And then there's a train, it goes from 10 to 4. There's a train at 4:15, 4:20 or something, so we'll leave right before 4 just to make sure we get back there in time. And yeah, then 2 hours later I'll be back in time to help put my children to bed. Well, eat dinner and put them to bed. I'm very excited. I've had my children. I have not had, going to the vet today, which was an hour, is the most time I've had to myself since I did the sewing class back in June. I haven't even had an afternoon without children. The thunderstorm, when they went and hid in their dens and were very quiet, was actually more of a break than going to the vet was. Because that definitely wasn't downtime. But yeah, I'm like, they'll be back in school. I'm going to make my husband watch them for a day. And I'm going to go out and do something fun as a grown-up. So please do come say hello if you see me. And yeah, I will be there. I haven't bought my ticket for the festival yet because there's always a chance something will go wrong. And I figure, I don't even know what the price is, but it's probably like an extra £2 to pay at the door is worth not losing the money by booking in advance. It's not such a big fee that I would worry about losing it. Yeah. Thank you for watching this. If you've made it to the end, I'm very sorry. In fact, I'm just going to apologize for the whole thing. Once I stabbed myself in the leg, it was all over, really. I I was going to call this episode, what was it? Something like too many whips, no progress. But now it's clearly going to be the one where I stab myself in the leg. Thank you. Goodbye.